Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back. I'm here. It's been almost 2 years. I know. It's been crazy. My life has been crazy, and I'm sick, and it's too early to go to bed, so I'm not doing that right now. I'm spending time with you. I've been meaning to talk about this one thing that I've been a poo-pooer, a naysayer, a hater. I've been a hater on this one show, and it finally wrapped up technically a couple months ago, last year even, I believe. I never got around to telling you my genuine opinions on it. And that show is My Hero Academia. My Hero has been a show, if you remember, way back in the day, I had a few tier lists. And I put the big boy, My Hero, right here in B tier, at the end of B tier, basically. And I won't, now that I've actually seen it more than just the first 6 episodes, I always said, I don't like My Hero, the fans are terrible, and I don't like them, and therefore I'm never going to watch the show. I was one of those people. Well, I finally did watch it, just to see what the hype was about, and I can confidently say, I don't get why people's favorite show is My Hero, other than first anime syndrome. Like, I get that. Like, for me, Sword Art Online is the one that, I have it in A tier. I have Sword Art in A tier. It doesn't deserve it, but it was my favorite show. And even, sorry to keep cutting like this, I have basically the rest of SAO is supposed to be what this was, not just Gun Gale, because I know how bad it is. I get it, okay? I know. And that's how I feel about My Hero fans. If you love the show, I'm happy for you. After watching it, I don't hate on you. I think that people who ship are cringy no matter what. Not just My Hero fans, even though they're more verbose about it, a little more aggressive. But now that I've seen it, I'm gonna walk you through some of my ideas. From the get-go, I thought that My Hero was just a straight B tier show. Season 1, I liked the beginning of Season 1. I think Deku was kind of annoying. So did everyone else. I didn't really like Bakugo. I didn't know how they were going to make Bakugo cool. But they did. Spoilers. I didn't like that Midoriya became the next All Might per se. But also, you knew it was going to be him. You knew it was going to be somebody. What happened in the first, 2 episodes. It was fine starting off from there. Where My Hero shines is in the slice of life. That's what I love, at least in my opinion. That's what I love about Harry Potter. That's what I love about My Hero. You take something that everyone knows. Everyone knows school. Everyone knows, going to school, going to public school, going to whatever, going to high school. And then you flip it on its head. How would you do this if you were a wizard? If you're going to be a wizard? Sure, you got to learn, English. You got to learn, your languages. You got to learn your history and stuff like that, but also, how would you learn magic? How would you learn what kind of magic you would get into? How would you use that, put that to a practical skill that you would use in your everyday life, because you can use magic? How would you take these, people with, 80+% of the population have superpowers or some sort of genetic mutation, a quirk? How do you make that fit into a society? How do you get that many people? Every kid wants to be a superhero. Are you kidding me? Every kid wants to be a superhero now, let alone if you have the power to shoot tape from your elbows, if you have the power of Superman x Dracula x any Martian Manhunter x anything, any superpower, as crazy as it is or not, every kid wants to be a superhero. That's where this show shined. And every time they stepped away from it, I didn't like it. So for me, the show kind of went like this a lot, between being like A tier and like C tier. If I were to go through the arcs, I pulled up a wiki on exactly what the arcs were, but I would say season 1, when they're doing the school stuff, good, solid B tier. And then once the villains show up, not really for me. I just didn't really like it when they showed up. The whole villains in general, I think, obviously, what the creator was going for, it hit. I just wish they had done more with it. The whole idea with the villains arc is that everyone can be saved, even the worst villains. Even the worst villains just have a side. They were just dealt a bad hand, and if they had someone to guide them, even like these crazy things, I won't get ahead of myself. Great storytelling at the end of the show. In the beginning, I feel like at the beginning of the show, this was supposed to be a short series, and it just took off, and then it just had to kind of find its way in the middle and then wrap it all up. Season 2, not really my favorite with them showing up. And then you had the hero, then you had the training, more training, love the training good. And then you had the hero killer. I kinda liked. It wasn't my favorite. A lot of people said, I love the Stain stuff. It was amazing. I was like, it was alright. It was cool. It was kind of cool because you had like a vigilante guy who wasn't like just the villain people. Who, I think that the tournaments were amazing. Tournaments were fun. The overhaul stuff, a really good in-between. Like, they took a very serious set of plots, and what I thought was going to be not fun to watch was actually pretty entertaining. I will give the overhaul stuff was pretty good. We cannot, of course, we can't forget about the greatest villains of all time, Gentle Criminal. Best 2-episode arc in the entire show. It just was. Gentle Criminal was the best. I'm so glad he came back as a hero at the end. After that, everyone was pretty much just getting ready for the finale. After All Might, spoilers. After All Might lost all of his powers officially, it was just a matter of time when they had to fight the big bad, and it was a lot of setup for that. I think that the Todoroki family was a fun plot point. I think they did every single character in Class 1A incredibly well, except for the main character. I think all of them are great. They had just the right amount of character development, just the right amount of personality. Todoroki family may have been a little too much, because, you know, they wanted to be like, whoa, the son that we all thought was dead was actually one of the bad guys this whole time. I bet you didn't see that coming. That's why we wrote it into the show. Whoa, that was such a great plot point. If you watch, in the show, the writers pat themselves on the back for saying, oh, that's such a great plot twist. Which is silly Billy. Star having America's #1 hero, I thought that was pretty cool. That hit me right in the patriotism. And then having the entire world again, like, actually have a little bit of a wanting to fight and be part of something. It's not just Japan. I think that was cool. And everything, when it wrapped up, it was a good show. I know I'm missing a lot. There's some stuff that, you know, leave a comment. I'll probably answer them individually in the comments. If there's a particular spot that you liked that I skipped over because I waited way too long to make this video. But then again, I've been so busy. Update on my life soon. With the finale season, I was caught up to My Hero, so I got to watch the finale as it was coming out, which I felt like I was actually part of something with how big this show was. I think if you haven't seen it, again, more spoilers. I think that Midoriya losing his powers for good was the correct decision. I think that him giving up his powers was the only way to have a full character arc from where it just came full circle, where he started off as an insecure kid with no powers. He comes back. He's now a secure kid, but with no powers. If he got to keep him, I still wouldn't like Midoriya. He was still probably the most undeserving person to get All Might's power. Not the most, of course, but of the entire class, he just was basically like, oh, you don't have powers? Okay, we'll give it to you. I can't think of anyone else who deserved it more, really, other than maybe Lemillion, who was amazing. I just think that was the correct decision. That was the best thing that could have happened. I remember another thing. After season 7 wrapped up, everyone thought Bakugo was gonna die. Like, that was the thing. Like, he was the hand goes. He's dead. OMG, he's so dead. He's deader than dead. I can't believe they're actually gonna kill him off this time. No. I remember watching this with my girlfriend, and then she was just like, are they really gonna kill off Bakugo? No, of course they weren't. They didn't have the balls to kill off anyone in this show except for one guy who had the ability to see into the future and say, you're going to die a terrible, gruesome death, All Might, and that didn't even happen. So he was kind of a useless hero to begin with. I'm sorry, he was cool, he was useless. Except for, like, during the actual arc, he did a pretty good job, but I feel like even without him, there were so many powers that you could have just kind of thrown in there. They killed off one character. They killed off one. Everybody else came back. Except for, I guess, the bad, Shigaraki. I guess, yeah, they killed him off. Oh, well, and then, okay, so most of the, all right. Most of the villain league is dead. And One For All died like 3 times. So there's that. Getting back to the ending that I said I would get back to earlier, what I do like that they did is the final 2 seasons, they did a very good job of wrapping things up, and they told the story of how everyone deserves a second chance, everyone can be saved. I think that was very nice. It was nice and cute. I really like what they did with Toga in the fact that they, Uraraka really wanted to save Toga. Even at the end, with her loving blood, she could give blood. She could have been like a nurse. Even like the person who I could have sworn, like, you really got dealt a real weird set of quirks. Like, even they came up with something. It's like, oh, you could have done something to really save people. If only I was there sooner. I think that was really cool. And then the whole league being like a family in them of themselves, just being like we were the outcasts, so we bonded together, but it also showed that, like, you can bond together with some really terrible people who do some bad things, and you yourself do things that are not good or helpful. And just because you have people that you can bond with doesn't mean that they're good people. There is a difference, and then you become like those people who you are with. I think that is something that everyone could take a moment to think about. Just because you're friends doesn't mean that they're good people. But that also doesn't mean that they can't change, and that you can't change. Here for you. Gamers, your boy is back. Because there was one real crucial thing that I forgot while editing this video that I never talked about. And that is the drinking game that is take a shot whenever a character, or nay, just Midoriya, cries on screen. There's one thing that I have learned, if there's one thing that I've learned from this show, it's that it's really easy and really cheap to get your audience to feel an emotion if the characters on screen are feeling that emotion. So the sheer amount of, I feel like, the laziness and maybe not even laziness, I feel used. I feel emotionally used because it works, but it's also lazy. It's the amount of time that if you want to make your audience feel sad, you make the main character well up with tears and try to hold back. You gotta try to hold back those tears. Hold them back. And that makes you go, no, I'm doing it, do great. And it just shows, like, a level of, like, insecurity that the writer didn't feel like that they were going to hit home with the emotional impact that they wanted. That, or it was like, let's just show the emotion that Midoriya's having. I feel like that's just a big mix of everything. I just hated that. It's so cheap. I have been working on a script for a long time now. And that's the big thing I learned is don't force the emotion on your audience. Don't force the emotion. Don't do the equivalent of holding up the sign that says applause, except for cry now, please, cry now. That's the big pet peeve that I had. I think I've actually I've noticed this more often now, especially with the really short mini shows. I'm sure one of you nerds insult your audience. That's a good idea. Good idea, Caleb. One of you will tell me it's one of the short run isekais or whatever. You can tell that the writer has the ability to tell a good story, but doesn't quite know how to make it work yet, how to cross the barrier between paper into, like, your heart. So you go, if this show or this manga or whatever is their first one, they did a good job. I can see them going places now that they've got a couple of, kind of not so great stories, but some pretty good dialogue, some pretty good themes. You can, I can see that you're going to go places, and now that you've got a couple under your belt, you're going to know how to really do it later. I'd want to follow this mangaka and see their future projects. But if this is like their 4th, 5th attempt at this is terrible. This is really bad. And that's how I felt about the My Hero writer. If they go on to do something else, and I know that there's already something else out or being worked on by the creator, that's going to be probably objectively better than My Hero, because My Hero just had those first writer quirks. I did the silly again. First writer quirks that can only be explained by it's just the first time that some things were a little cheesy, a little ham-fisted down the audience's throat. And it just gets better. Subtlety becomes an art form, and then your audience just feels what's happening because you know how to make it more personal. That's all I wanted to add here. Back to me from like 2 hours ago. So, with all that said, we have all these characters. Bakugo finally got to be a character that I actually cared about. I didn't think that was gonna happen. Everybody was pretty well done for being pretty quirky. I did it funny. Oh, they killed Midnight. That's true. That's something else that happened. By the end of it, this is the same thing that I said with Assassination Classroom. By the end of the show, you knew the name of every single student. You were there for the ride with them, and that was the same thing with Class 1A. And a little bit of B, but that was just more because I stood out for being something or other. which I think was great. I think that's great storytelling. So, there's a lot to say about this show. I, throughout most of it, thought that it was a solid B tier, perhaps even the king of B tiers. If you think that it's an A tier, I think that's totally valid. If you think that it's a C tier, or a D tier, or an F tier, that's kind of valid too. Although I will say, if you ranked it in F tier, you probably are just hating on it for the sake of hating on it. Probably haven't even seen it. But what would I give it now that I have the all-encompassing every anime I've ever watched tier list, which is grossly inaccurate now? Do I think it's better than JoJo's? Season 1, yes. I think that it just deserves King of B tier. I think that's what it gets. I've moved it from here to here for you all. I think that's fairly accurate. Let me know if you agree in the comments below. Tell me how you've been as well. Let me know. It's been so long since we've talked. And it's probably going to be a while before the next one because of just how busy I am about to be and how busy I have been. But thank you all for watching this. And a life update will come eventually. And I still have that other... Oh yeah, I've got the micro stories, the micro fanfics that I have to put together and edit and everything. I've got the files. I didn't remember that until just now. It's been a lot. Nothing bad, all good in fact. Your boy's making moves, but it's a lot, and I'm very excited for what life has in store for me. I just wish it'd hurry up and do it sooner. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.